Hey guys, it's Dragon. So today I have the non-spoiler review for Spider-Man No Way Home. I just I'm just gonna start off by saying I was blown away by this movie. This was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And as a longtime Spider-Man fan for over about 19 years now, I had very high expectations for this film. Tom Holland is one of my all-time favorite um, portrayals of Spider-Man. I mean, the rest are also great, but there's just something about Tom Holland that just brings the heart out of him, and it brings out the most of Peter Parker and Spider-Man out of Tom Holland's character. Um, his acting in this film was phenomenal. There were some scenes that made me that it made my jaw drop at some of his performances. He did a fantastic job. He was fantastic. Yeah, and I wore my Spider-Man shirt yesterday also. If you check on my community post, I posted that before I went to see it. I watched it in IMAX too, so I got to see the bigger picture. Um, Zendaya and I forgot his name, who played Ned. They were also great. Also, Zendaya was also really good. Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. He was fantastic as always. But I gotta hand it to the villains that made it into this movie. Because I watched the original ones. Um, Let me think. It was probably around 2014. I watched them. I have pictures of when I was younger. I had pictures of Tobey Maguire's Spider Man from the Spider Man 2. I had a few shirts on him, but I don't think I've seen the actual movies until 2014. And because I was still into I was still into my Pokemon phase. So I've been a huge Spider-Man fan, also like I was saying, since I was 4 years old. So watching the rest of the Spider-Man movies brought back the resurgence of loving Spider-Man back again. So um, it brought all that back. So I was super excited that Green Goblin, Doctor Octopus, Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the Lizard from the first Amazing Spider-Man, they would all be back in it, and Sandman from Spider-Man 3. So this movie was a huge deal for me, and I have to say, all of them did an fantastic job with their performances. Willem Dafoe, I think, was the best of them all. He was just as menacing, if not more menacing, than his previous role as the Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man movie. There were moments where I was on the edge of my seat when he was talking, because like in the original, he had his like um, split personality. And the film kind of went into that a little bit, but over like 20 years later, he still did a top notch performance. He was fantastic. He was probably one of the best highlights of the movie was Green Goblin. His performance was just so good. And the action was also great. But what really did it for me, and I'm going to go into this a little bit, not for spoilers or anything, but this film really went into why Spider Man is Spider-Man. It really shows how much you feel for this character and all of the responsibility that he has to take in order to make in order for his friends to be safe and all of his loved ones. I mean, he's one of the, I mean, the reason I love Spider-Man is he's I mean, he's ordinary. He's just a kid. And he never gives up. That's one of my favorite things about Spider-Man is no matter how many times he gets beaten, no matter how many times he gets um no matter how many times he gets down, he always finds a way to fix things. He always gets back up and never gives up. And I've been inspired by Spider-Man ever since then to never give up and keep trying my best. So that's one of my favorite things about Spider-Man. And that's what really goes on in this movie. But it also, this is probably the most emotional Spider-Man movie also. There were quite a bit of emotional scenes, and Tom Holland, it was mostly the emotional scenes where Tom Holland was at his best for his acting. I mean, he was great in the first two MCU Spider-Man movies, but I think far from No Way Home, he did his best acting in this one with the emotional scenes. His acting was just phenomenal in this film. It really makes you feel for the character. It was so good. I mean, there were parts where I was almost tearing up by how good the performances were. I actually teared up right when the credits rolled because I mean, as a huge Spider-Man fan, this was like the best moment of my life. So I actually started tearing up with tears of joy, just seeing how the director John Watts. This is probably like the best one he made yet. The best accomplishment he's made to the Spider-Man mythos in the Spider-Man any Spider-Man movie. This is like the number one Spider-Man movie ever made. So he really outdid himself with this one. And it was so cool because I reserved my seat right on November 29th on Spider Monday when they called it. Got my tickets first thing in the morning when I woke up. And when we got in the theater last night, there were a bunch of people like me. I saw tons of people with Spider-Man shirts on. One of them had like a full-on body costume of Spider-Man. It was so cool. And so we were all we were all clapping and stuff when villains appeared and when something exciting happened. We were all cheering and stuff. It was just like all of the Spider-Man fans in one place. It was such an awesome feeling. I'll never forget it. But yeah, this is probably the best, if not the best Spider-Man movie out there right now. But I think I heard that on the Fandango Twitter page that they're making more Spider-Man movies, which I'm so happy that they're doing. Because I was I was pretty concerned that this would be Tom Holland's final role as Spider-Man. So I was hoping it wouldn't be the case. So I'm happy to say that it's not. So can't wait to see how he's going to go with it more down the road. But yeah, this movie was everything I could have hoped for and more as a Spider-Man fan. And I highly recommend it for any Spider-Man fan or any superhero fan. You will not regret it. It's such an enjoyable movie. It's so worth it. So it was so worth the wait, guys. All right, so 10 out of 10 stars. Can't wait to watch this masterpiece over and over again. And yeah, but there were plenty of surprises. If you've seen the movie, you know what or who I am referring to. But yes, I highly recommend it. Put in the comments below if you've seen the movie, who your favorite character was and what your favorite part in the movie was. I'd like to see what you guys come up with. And I'll see you guys in the next video. So be sure to subscribe and ring the bell for more notifications. And I'll see you guys soon. Okay, bye.